You've probably grown up thinking you know dinosaurs. Massive reptiles with scaly skin, tiny brains, and thunderous footsteps. After all, they've been in movies, textbooks, and museum displays for decades. But here's the thing. A lot of what we think we know is flat out wrong. Some myths are so persistent that even scientists believe them for years. Today, we're busting 10 of the biggest dinosaur myths, from misunderstood body parts to who actually survived the asteroid. If you love dinosaurs, hit that like button and subscribe. You've probably seen them in movies, giant winged reptiles soaring above T-Rex and Triceratops. So it's easy to assume pterosaurs were flying dinosaurs, but they weren't. Pterosaurs were a different group of prehistoric reptiles that lived at the same time as dinosaurs, but they weren't actually part of the dinosaur family. Dinosaurs all lived on land and had legs positioned directly beneath their bodies. Pterosaurs didn't. Their wings were made of a thin skin membrane stretched over a super long fourth finger, completely unlike anything you'd see in a dinosaur, bird, or bat. They came in all sizes, from small crow-sized species to Quetzalcoatlus, which had a wingspan as wide as a small plane. But even though they ruled the skies during the Age of Dinosaurs, they were on their own branch of the reptile family tree. It's kind of like how bats and monkeys are both mammals. They might live at the same time, but that doesn't make them the same animal. Pterosaurs were amazing, but they were never actually dinosaurs. When the first fossils of Iguanodon were discovered in the 1820s, scientists didn't have a full skeleton, just bits and pieces. One of those pieces was a large, sharp spike. Early reconstructions guessed that it belonged on the dinosaur's nose, kind of like a rhino horn. But later discoveries revealed something surprising. The spike actually went on its thumb. Iguanodon had a large conical thumb spike, probably used for defense or possibly for foraging. Imagine being a herbivore surrounded by hungry predators. Having a sharp thumb could come in handy. The idea that the spike belonged on its nose stuck around for a long time, because at the time, dinosaur science was brand new. It was one of the first dinosaurs ever named, and paleontology was still figuring out how to assemble skeletons. Today, with more complete fossils and better technology, we know that thumb spikes were common among early ornithopods, and Iguanodon's was one of the most iconic. This one's a biggie. A lot of people think dinosaurs went totally extinct, but look outside your window. Every bird you see, that's a dinosaur. Modern birds evolved from a group of dinosaurs called Theropods, the same group that includes Velociraptor and T-Rex. In fact, birds are dinosaurs, just like how bats are mammals. The connection isn't just based on vague similarities. We've found fossils of feathered dinosaurs with clear links in bone structure, nesting behavior, and even wishbones. The famous Archaeopteryx, which lived around 150 million years ago, had wings, feathers, and claws blending features of birds and dinosaurs. So when you hear a robin sing or see an eagle soar, you're witnessing the legacy of dinosaurs still alive today. They didn't all die out. Some just evolved into something new. Jurassic Park got a lot of things wrong, but one of the biggest? Their raptors are completely bald. In reality, many theropods were covered in feathers. Fossils from China and other places have preserved impressions of feathers on dinosaurs like Utaranus, Sinosauropteryx, and even smaller relatives of T-Rex. These weren't just decoration. Feathers helped with insulation, display, and possibly even flight. Feathers didn't appear suddenly in birds. They evolved gradually in dinosaurs. Some looked like fluff, others were more structured. The point is, a lot of the dinosaurs we imagine as sleek, scaly hunters probably looked more like big, terrifying chickens. Without feathers, many of these animals would have been underdressed for their environment. So next time you think of a raptor, picture it with fluff. Still deadly, but fluffier. For years, people believed that Stegosaurus had a second brain in its butt. Yeah, really. That myth came from a large cavity found near the hips of the dinosaur. Early scientists didn't know what it was. so they speculated it might have been a second brain to help control the back half of the body. But we now know that cavity was likely a glycogen body, something birds have too. It's more about energy storage, not thinking power. Stegosaurus only had one brain, and it was small, sure, but not so tiny it needed a backup. This myth stuck around because Stegosaurus had such a big body and such a tiny skull. But in nature, brain size doesn't always match intelligence. Animals are efficient, not excessive. Dinosaurs often get portrayed as big, slow beasts, kind of like scaled-up elephants. But many of them were actually fast and nimble. Take Velociraptor. It was built for speed and agility. Lightweight, long-legged, and with a stiff tail for balance. And Gallimimus? That one could outrun a car, reaching speeds up to 40 miles per hour. Their limb structures, muscle attachments, and even trackways all show that many species were excellent runners. Not every dinosaur was fast, of course. Some, like sauropods, were just too massive, but a lot of them were surprisingly athletic. They weren't plodding around like zombies. They were chasing, hunting, fleeing, living animals.
Thanks to a certain movie, there's this famous idea that if you stood still in front of a T-Rex, it wouldn't see you. Dramatic? Yes. Scientifically accurate? Not even close. T-Rex had forward-facing eyes, giving it binocular vision, the kind of depth perception that predators rely on. Its vision was likely better than a modern eagle's, which is already among the best in the animal kingdom. So, standing still in front of a hungry T-Rex wouldn't save you. In fact, you'd be a very clear target. Add to that its strong sense of smell and hearing, and you've got one of the most well-equipped predators in history. Hollywood got a lot of things right about dinosaurs, but this isn't one of them. If a T-Rex is looking for you, you better run.
People love to say dinosaurs were dumb, just giant lizards stumbling through life. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Some dinosaurs, like Iguanodon, had brain-to-body ratios similar to modern birds. That suggests they were capable of problem-solving, hunting in packs, and even complex communication. Fossils show that velociraptors may have worked together to take down prey, something you don't see in dumb animals. And then there's Maiasaura, a plant-eating dinosaur that took care of its young. Fossil nests show that parents brought food to their hatchlings and protected them, which means they had social behaviors and memory. So no, dinosaurs weren't just brainless monsters. Some were smart, caring, and even strategic. They were more like modern birds and mammals than we ever imagined.
For a long time, scientists thought dinosaurs were cold-blooded like reptiles, relying on the sun to warm up. But new research shows that many dinosaurs were actually warm-blooded, with high metabolisms. Their bones contain structures called haversian canals, which help with rapid growth and oxygen flow, traits we see in birds and mammals, not lizards. Plus, their active lifestyles, fast movement, and in some cases, feathers, all point to them maintaining steady body temperatures. Not all dinosaurs were the same, though. Some may have been in between, a kind of mesothermic state, but the old image of dinosaurs basking like crocodiles all day, that's not the full story. Warm-bloodedness helped dinosaurs thrive in all kinds of environments, from forests to deserts to the polar regions. 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid hit Earth and wiped out around 75% of life. It marked the end of the Age of Dinosaurs, but not for all of them. While the big non-avian dinosaurs went extinct, a group of small feathered theropods survived. These were the early birds, and they made it through by flying, nesting in trees, and eating a wider variety of food. From those survivors came the thousands of bird species we see today. So in a very real sense, the dinosaurs never fully died out. They just evolved. So next time you see a pigeon or a hawk, remember, you're looking at a modern dinosaur. They're not extinct, they're everywhere.
If there's one thing this video proves, it's that the real story of dinosaurs is even stranger than the myths. If you enjoyed it and learned something new, make sure to hit like and subscribe. I talk a lot about dinosaurs here, both the real ones and the ones from the movies. So stick around if that's your thing.